Hola chicos, let's get started. We're gonna talk about La vida de Miguel, which means the life of Miguel, or a more natural way to say that in English would be Miguel's life. I already told you guys in class that I'm not really big into teaching grammar and testing you guys on grammar. That's not something that I'm ever going to do to you for a couple of different reasons. One, it's simply not necessary to know a whole bunch of grammar rules to be able to communicate in another language. And it tends to stress kids out more than it helps them learn, and so we're just not going to worry about it because we're too blessed to stress, and you guys will pick up the grammar as you go and as we get more exposure and more practice with the language. But that being said, I will always mention grammar rules, right, because they do tend to come up and you guys are very, very observant and you tend to ask me anyway, so I will always bring them up. And I also know that some of you guys are actually grammar nerds like me, which is totally cool, and so this is for you guys, but it's really for everybody. I just want you guys to sort of tuck it away into your brain and be aware of it so that we can sort of compare our English rules with what we're seeing in Spanish. But again, don't stress it, and I'm not going to test you on it, but it might help things make a little bit more sense when we start seeing some of these structures, okay? So, in English, to indicate possession, to say that something belongs to somebody, we use apostrophe S, right? So, for example, we would say Miguel's life. But in Spanish, they don't use apostrophe S. Instead, we use the word de. And the thing that belongs to the person comes before their name. So it's La vida de Miguel, which means Miguel's life. But a literal translation would be the life of Miguel. And that's the way it is in all of the Romance languages. Actually, I know it can be kind of strange for us in English, but if you go on to study Italian or French or Portuguese or Romanian, it will follow that same pattern. And that's just the way it is. I don't know why. We just sort of have to accept it. And it's really not that hard for English speakers because you can just think of it in terms of the life of Miguel, right? So to say Miguel's dog, or the dog of Miguel, it would be El perro de Miguel. How would you say Miguel's family? It would be La familia de Miguel, right? How would you say Miguel's house? It would be La casa de Miguel. Right? So it's pretty easy. It's really not that complicated. Other ways to indicate possession in Spanish, right? So mi means my. So mi amigo is my friend. Tu amigo is your friend. Su amigo could mean his friend, her friend, their friend, or the formal your friend. And we'll talk more about that later. Don't get stressed out about it. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's fine. Don't stress. And nuestro amigo means our amigo. Now, keep in mind, I know you guys actually seem pretty comfortable with this already, but we need to keep in mind that in Spanish, if we are talking about a masculine object, any adjective and some pronouns need to also be masculine. And what I mean by that is this. We know that if we're talking about our friend, and our friend is a boy, we're going to use the word amigo. The word our needs to also end in an O because we're using the masculine friend with an O, right? So it's nuestro amigo. And you can hear that O sound continuing. And so it sounds like it flows better, right? Nuestro amigo. Now, if our friend is a girl, we're going to change amigo to amiga. And we're going to change the word nuestro to nuestra because we need those A's to match up. So nuestro amigo is our friend, and our friend's a boy. But nuestra amiga, we're talking about our friend, and she's a young lady this time, but you can hear how it matches up, right? Nuestra amiga. It sounds better. It sounds like it makes sense. So if you're an auditory learner, listen for that when people are talking, and you'll pick it up, right? The other thing that we have to keep in mind that we have to do in Spanish that we don't have to do in English is that if the thing that belongs to the person is plural, if there's more than one, we need to make the word mine, yours, theirs into a plural also. What am I talking about? Okay. ¿Cómo se dice? How do you say my friends in Spanish? We know that the word friend is amigo. So to make that plural, we add an S, amigos. What happens to the word my, or in Spanish it would be me? What do we have to add? We have to add one letter to the end of it. It would become mis amigos. Because amigos is plural, the word my also has to be plural in Spanish. And I know that we don't do that in English, and English speakers, when we start out learning, we don't like these rules very much because it seems like an extra step. It might be a little confusing. If you're confused, if that seems like a lot to remember, I felt the same way when I started. Okay, don't get stressed out. You'll pick it up eventually. And again, listen to how it sounds. Mis amigos. You can hear that S sound, that continues and flows through the words, right? Mi amigos, it sounds kind of rough, right? So listen for those sounds that match up, and that will probably help you pick it up a little faster. So mis amigos would be my friends. So just keep these rules in mind. Again, I'm not going to test you on them. You'll get more practice as you go. And the other thing to remember, if you're speaking to a native speaker and you forget, you make a little mistake, if you say mi amigos, right, they'll understand you just fine, right? And so it's really nothing to get stressed out about, and I'll give you plenty of practice in class. And that's our little mini grammar lesson, okay? Gracias, chicos.